Hi, I finished another journal. This one I'm calling Everyday Life, and the title of the book is Everyday Life in Washington. It's fairly good sized. It's about 9 inches by 6.5, and the spine's 2 inches. This is a book from about 1900, I would say. I think I have the title page in the journal so we can look at it. So it has on the cover the words Everyday Life in Washington. Kind of a little faded. I kind of like that. The eagle there's pretty much all there. It says with pen and camera, over 200 illustrations. There's actually a couple of the illustrations from the book are in here. They were all black and white. And then right here, it's kind of hard to see this, but this is the Capitol building. And this part, I think, was at one time very, very gold, but it's sort of faded now, but I kind of like the way it looks. In fact, I sort of like the whole faded cover. And so the button has an eagle on it, like the eagle here. It's probably from some type of military jacket. And so the spine had a few weak areas right along here and here. So I just decided to go ahead and just stitch by hand this hole up and down the sides here. And I really like the way it looks. It definitely gave the book a whole lot more strength. And I had already, I had reinforced the spine with some Tyvek and some fabric, but this just kind of helps keep those. And they were, they were glued down really well, but this just keeps them from kind of sticking up. So then anyway, while I had my needle and thread, I did a little needlework here and decided to add a few beads. They're stitched on with just these parts here hanging loose. There are 5 signatures. I like doing 5 smaller signatures as opposed to the way I used to do it, which was 3 large ones. And here's the back, and it's in really nice condition. So yeah, it has elastic closure. And I decided to add a few beads to the closure too. Just gives you something to hold on to when you're opening it up. On the inside, I used fabric. This fabric is kind of a linen-y, sort of linen, kind of burlap almost. It has a lot of texture. And I just thought the design was really pretty, and I thought it went well with the cover. And then, so here I added some fabric from, this is a piece I cut out of I have a fabric swatch book. It's kind of like upholstery, curtain fabrics. I picked it up at the thrift store. I got 3 of the books actually, and they just have the most beautiful fabric in it. It's like silks, and they're embroidered, and they're in smaller pieces, which doesn't matter to me because I like the small pieces. So, and then so each of the 5 signatures just starts with a page. It's kind of a collection of things that interest me, things that I think are pretty. Not in no particular theme. It's very kind of eclectic. So this is an illustration by Arthur Rackham. He was a British illustrator in the late 1800s to early 1900s, kind of the Art Nouveau period. Pen and ink drawings with just very subtle colors. I think his illustrations are beautiful. He illustrated a lot of fairy tales. So since I have a lot of children's books, I have some of his illustrations in those books, and this came from one of the books. Okay, and then here's another one on the other side. Aren't that beautiful? Just, very pale colors, beautiful backgrounds. So I used a lot of hand-dyed paper in this book. I think it's all hand-dyed paper, either tea-stained or onion skin dyed or avocado skin dyed. I think this is tea stained, but maybe with a little bit of ink added to it. And here's a postcard. It's the cat and the butterfly. It's kind of, it was from an art book I think I have. Yeah, because here's the perforated edge. So, and then this is a piece of snippet roll. I made a bunch of snippet rolls, so I've been using them in my journals. And I made some out of fabric, and then some are paper. And I have like lighter colors and darker colors. And wow, I just used a lot of this when I was making this journal. I like to use it like here, or as a topper for a tag, or as a tab, because this has lots of tabs in it. So anyway, lots of snippet roll in here. Okay, so I think I'm pretty straight. Yeah. So yeah, this is some tea-stained paper with inks and plastic doilies. And I love the texture that it makes the designs on there. And then on this page was short, so I stitched another book page on top of it. It's kind of a page from a field guide. And so since I had a little extra here that was overlapping, I turned that into a little pocket for this vintage postcard. 1911. Isn't that pretty? It is written on with pencil, very light, kind of hard to read, but I think you probably would be able to read it. And some more tea-stained old ledger paper. And another short page, which I turned into a pocket by stitching on another page. And inside is just some note paper. This is actually cut out and glued down. I bought some stationery, this stationery, and it came like that. Got a little blue in there with my tea. Corner tuck here with one of my collage tags with a photo, some fabric tab. This is a page from a book about dance, and in fact this is also a page from a Russian ballet program. I think it was probably from the 20s or the 30s. But it is written in English. And here's a postcard from an art gallery in Taos, New Mexico. It's where I used to live. And this pocket is made from a children's book illustration. And I made a bunch of these envelopes. So here's one with a no snag paper clip. It's just a book page with the flap is collaged, and then I usually put something on the front too. This is some Tim Holtz tissue paper there, and then stitch it up, and inside is this butterfly chart. And I made a bunch of these envelopes today. They are fun to do, and in fact today was just a day where I worked on lots of tags and pockets and all kinds of journaling cards, all kinds of stuff. It was a very productive day. Getting ready for my next one. In fact, I'll just show you right now. I didn't have room for all the pages I wanted to use, and so I'm going to be doing this one next. It's Morris's story of the great earthquake of 1908, and I believe that was in San Francisco. So that's the cover. I think it's got a beautiful cover, and I've been picking out extra pages and getting this one ready. So it should be done pretty soon. Trying to get my shelves filled up for a farmer's market, and I actually have not listing these in my Etsy shop. I put the price on there in the description of my video, and if anybody wants to contact me by email, they may. Otherwise, they're going into my farmer's market booth. So I have this book called it's The Lion of Wizard of Oz, The Cowardly Lion. It's all about the lion. It's actually was before the Wizard of Oz movie was made. There were lots of different books about Oz. And this was one. And I just thought that picture was so neat. And it had to put two page spreads together to put that whole thing in there. But I really, really wanted to do it. Love it. And there's the center of the signature. This is from that Wizard of Oz book, The List of Chapters. Lots of writing space and, you know, tea stained paper that with some sturdy stencils to give it a little color. Collage paper tags in envelopes, pocket. And this little tag here with a little bit of tea bag here at the top. And this is more from the Russian ballet program. This is actually from a book about different dances, but has lots of writing space. Another children's book. So here I've made a little tuck spot out of this old photograph, and inside is a picture of a castle in France. This is actually a miniature postcard. And so this is some of my snippet roll, and I've turned it into an uptuck for a playing card, and some Tim Holtz ephemera, and a little piece of the puppy book. These are flowers that were just cut from gardening magazines and seed catalogs, and then I just stitched them all together as kind of a border here. It makes a pretty colorful border. And here's a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. Some more paper with the plastic doilies. Another Arthur Rackham illustration with a dragon. The stories are fairy tales, fantasy, you know. Some of them are a little dark with dragons and monsters. See, look at this. This is Galish, some kind of evil elf or something. There's another one there. They've got sharp teeth and everything. Kind of scary looking for a kid's story. This is from the Cowardly Lion book, and the color illustrations in there were just amazing. I just think the choice of colors are, you know, it's just so vibrant. I just love it. This clown is using the bow of a fiddle and this is his boat. And, you know, the beautiful yellow sky. The colors in it are just so beautiful. This is from an old science book about, and this is an article or a chapter about an octopus. This is some handmade paper. It's kind of fragile, so I have it really nicely stitched down. And an envelope with a note, typewritten note sent to somebody from the Capital Financial Services about their account being past due payments on their account. So back in the days when people would send you a hand-typed note about being overdrawn. So here we have this. I have this neat workbook about reading blueprints, and I just think blueprints are so interesting. And so I have a page from that book in here. And this is some copy-dyed paper I did a while back. So much more intense than the tea that I usually use. Another book from another page from a children's book. And so here we have a little tuck, and it's made out of, I had a piece of mail that had all these stamps from Argentina on them. And I just thought, well, that would make a really neat little, I had saved it, so I thought I would make a nice little tuck here for this postcard from Montana. And so in this pocket here, we have made a special long skinny tag for this pocket. It has a little tiny safety pin here, some fussy cut birds, and just some collage. So here is the title page of the book, Everyday Life in Washington. I'm calling this journal Everyday Life, just to shorten it a little bit. Yeah, so it's from 1900. I thought the title page was kind of pretty with the red and black. And then here's a picture of the author and his family. Copyright 1900. Yep. So writing space. This is a little tip-in. Fussy cut flower. This is all the ranks of the Navy, and how they are placed, you know, against each other, or the advancement from one rank to the other. From an interesting book I have about the coast or the military, and some T tags on the strings. This is a little flip out. Could go either way. Some paper. I actually did a lot of stitching here and stitched this all up. Some scraps. Little collage here. This was an old ad from the newspaper. It was too fragile to use as it was, but I just glued it down here. I thought it was really pretty. And I've done a lot of collage in here, you know, just like here to reinforce the page, I used tissue paper. But then I added this bird here too, because I thought that looked nice. And another page from a children's book. And one of my tabs made from the papers snippet roll. Another blueprint. So on this side of the envelope is a very old birthday card. And what I love about this card is this little velvet flower right here. It's soft and fuzzy. So it's actually a little artificial flower that was tucked into that little kitty's bouquet. And so it was from someone's aunt. And on inside is some writing, a letter, and so you can see where the stem of that flower was taped down. Isn't that cute? Just fits in this envelope. Oh, I think I have to turn it this way. Yep. And here's just some stitching on a piece of muslin for the trim. Another page from that old science book about insects. See that lady's shoe? So this is like from probably the 30s, I'm guessing. More insects. Another page from the Cowardly Lion book. Look at the sky. Pink clouds, yellow sky, blue clouds. It's just, you can tell they're in Oz, so it's fantasy land, right? I guess that's why they have all those colors. And there's the lion. Here is another envelope I made. So this one has some Tim Holtz tissue collaged on the front. Little Tracy Fox label. Collage flap. And inside here is, so this is like a card from the hospital when a little baby was born. It was like the identification card, I guess. This baby was born in January of 1948. And then here is a little baby gift card. Isn't that sweet? Has a little sparkle on it. That goes in the envelope. And I see this right here. It's actually, I think it was already on the paper. I'm going to do something to patch that up, though, before I put this back in. So I'm just going to leave it. Actually, I'll just put it like this so I don't forget where it was. Okay, so this is another old book I have about Bartholomew Frog. And I mean, this is probably either late 1800s or early 1900s. The pages were a nice, sturdy material. I did reinforce it on the crease with some rice paper. This is from a book of photographs by Linda McCartney. And look at the muscles on this dancer. It's just amazing. No fat at all. And here we have a picture of Ringo, George, and Paul from the Beatles. There's Bob Dylan and Joan Baez. They were actually boyfriend, girlfriend. And then in this little uptuck is a postcard with T.E. Lawrence. So Theodore Lawrence was actually the British military guy that the movie Lawrence of Arabia was based on. And in the movie, the actor was Peter O'Toole. And you're probably not as old as I am, but I look at this postcard and I go, he looked so much like Peter O'Toole. It's amazing. There's just a very strong resemblance. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I've probably seen it 6 or 7 times. And Lawrence of Arabia, of course, it took place in the desert, and he rode a camel. So I had this picture of a camel, and I put that there too. And so here's a little corner tuck with a couple of Picasso collages. Another page from the Raggedy Ann and Andy book with, so that's one of my snippet. I did some snippet with just pieces of silk, sari silk. I had a bunch of those little kind of raggedy strips that I stitched together. And a page from a book about ferns. So that's tucked in there. And this is a picture from the original book of the Capitol building. It was taken in probably the late 1800s, early, or maybe right around 1900. This is from a booklet of things you can make with an erector set. I thought the diagrams were just interesting. I like the way they looked. I never had an erector set. I think I might have liked it. Another tab made from snippet. And this is illustration from a book. And this tag here is collage. This is part of a book spine that just fell apart. I was taking apart the book, and I saved the pieces of the spine and just kind of stitched that on there as a little tab. Another picture from a book of just an old hotel, the Hobart House, early 1900s. Some birds in this tuck. Fabric flip. It's part of my snippet roll here. I thought the colors really went well, so it's part of it. And then underneath is Catherine, the Shrew. So that's from The Taming of the Shrew by Shakespeare. Fussy Cut Flower. Another book illustration. This one is just so beautiful. Look at the colors. The quality of it. It's just amazing. This is probably early 1900s. I mean, I don't scan and make copies of stuff. I just don't think that copies are ever going to be as nice as originals. And when I make journals, I almost always use all original stuff. It's just, I have lots of it, so I might as well use it. And including this erector set book. I just, when I go out and I look for interesting old books, and if the price is right, I buy them. And I have quite a collection. And so a collage pocket with a collage tag. So this is actually part of a book spine. It's that, that book cloth that's kind of like gauze. When I tear the books apart, I just save that. This is actually, you can actually read the title of the book. It was imprinted in there, Stories of the Universe. So it's kind of neat. You can't capture that with a copy. So here we have a little cigarette card with some tickets. Now these are replicas, and I buy them. Some of them came off of a Cavallini poster I bought. Some of them are Tim Holtz, and I pick them up here and there. But the book pages are all original. And this is from the Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy book. Very colorful illustrations. I just thought they were so charming. I have a whole set of those books. I think there are about 10 of them. They were discards at the school my sister taught at, and she has retired since then, but she's hung on to them for years, but she finally gave them to me a few weeks ago. I was really happy to get them. Love the pictures. So here's a flip out, and it's made from a page from an old scrapbook. And I love this old scrapbook because you can see here, see where it's all so colored so dark? That's where they had glued things down. But the glue had deteriorated over the years, and so I just peeled stuff right off. And then afterwards I saw the paper was very sturdy, so I thought, I'm going to use that. I like the way it looks with that glue on there. So, so I stitched it here and turned this into a pocket. And then here I stitched down an old envelope and tucked in a little piece of vellum. It's part of an old greeting card. So that's tucked in there. So, and the whole thing just folds up in its writing space and it folds right up. And here's some old fabric that I found at an antique store. I got a bundle of scraps there. This was part of it, and I really love this fabric. Used it lots of different ways. Just like the way the designs are in squares like this. You could just use a small portion of it, which I have done, or, a strip of it. And so underneath, it's a tuck, is a recipe for making backyard breakfast for the birds. It's kind of a suet cake with cereal in it. Some tissue collage here. Here's the rest of that page with the Beatles, and John, he was in the front, so he wasn't in the other side. And there's Janis Joplin, and a dancer from the Alvin Ailey's American Dance Theater. Look at how muscular she is. And here's another page from the Bartholomew Bullfrog book. And over here I put a little mushroom with a frog sitting on top. Another tab made from my snippet roll. I put clothing tags in there too. I have everybody in my family is supposed to cut off their tags and save them for me so I can put them on my snippet rolls. Beautiful little bird here. And here, this one is kind of funny. It says hoarder herding or herding hoarder. So here is the hoarder herding the flies, and here he is hoarding them under his wing. Kind of cute. Little play on words. This came from, I have a book of photos from Life and Look magazine, and this came from that book. And I used it to kind of make a pocket here. And as you can see, this lady is loving her toilet paper. Makes me think about, several months ago when it was hard to find toilet paper. And here is just a little corner tuck with this little paper doll and her outfit. And a page from an old children's book. This is an envelope, and here are, this is actually a replica. I got it from a book of a motel guide from 1931. And this is a page from an old magazine, Modern Maturity, August 1974. So it's got a bunch of sort of trivia questions about old TV shows from the 50s and 60s. So if you're as old as I am, you might enjoy reading those. Another page from the Russian ballet program, advertisement from that. And this is a Seven Gypsies rub-on. Pockets are made from like a bird book page that I kind of tore in half and just made it into a pocket. This is one of those things that you put in those stereo optoscopes where it has the double images and then you can look at it through the little viewfinder. This one is called Rat on Toast for Dinner, and you can see the cat. He has this little plate. Those are really old. They were falling apart. I kind of had to glue them back together. And a piece of the drive-in movie theater program with movies like Audrey Hepburn and Gigi. Or, nope, that's Leslie Caron. And the Flintstones movie, Soupy Sales, All the Fine Young Cannibals with Natalie Wood. And Apache Gold, it's a Western. Ring of Fire, another Western. The Liquidator. I don't know what that is. This is probably from, I would say, or 60s, sometime in the 60s, I would guess. An advertisement for a shoe sale. That's what actually was part of what was in that scrapbook that I have the page of it in here. Collage tag. Tim Holtz 5. Collage pocket. Another tag. It's a little piece of ephemera. I think that's Tim Holtz. It's a maze. This is from one of the Walter Foster art books. And the page was kind of short, so I just stitched some extra paper on the bottom for writing. Another tab made out of snippet. Pocket with a few little odds and ends. Here's a Greyhound bus ride receipt from 1981. Just a couple of little scraps from an old notebook, blank paper for writing. Old, this is from a not Chinese, I believe it's Japanese. Japanese children's story, and I added the birds there. This is from Raggedy Ann and Andy. I got out my little laminator and my pressed flowers, and I thought these came out pretty good. The first time I did a bunch, I didn't have much luck, but I've now more careful about how I put them through, and I don't let them get bent, so they stayed nice and straight. Actually used a piece of one to make this tag this morning, so that's a piece of it right there. I just punched out the hole and put it in there, made this tag. Thought it came out nice. That'll probably go in this one when I start working on it. Children's book page, and inside is just a neat card with poster from, I would say, this is a print of a poster from art. It was during the Art Deco time, so I'm guessing probably around the 20s or the 30s. And some writing paper here. And envelopes, so if you want to use the card, you can. Aren't these cute? These were illustrations from a children's book. Pocket with picture from an old music book and a print of a painting. Some leaves. Leaf ribbon and an envelope with some pages from an old autograph book. And a beautiful fabric flip. This is from that fabric swatch book. Look at the gorgeous embroidery on that. And then I added this fabric on top with some of the leaf trim. And then underneath is some writing paper to cover up this, which I put this in upside down. So now you have this, you don't have to look at that. Children's book page. Oh, this is one of my favorite illustrations from the Raggedy Ann and Andy books. I just love the fairies, the black background. Look at the little bit of sky peeking through there. It's just gorgeous. And there's a tag I made also. And this photo, it's in the photo corner, so it does come out. If you want to, there's some writing on the back, so if you want to read it, take it out and then put it back in. Okay, so there's a cluster I made. That is all. So this will not be going into my Etsy shop, but if you're interested in it, you can look at the details in the description below. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was so long.